Right.
You know, but always, well, I worked at a Montessori, which is somewhat similar for younger kids. But really, I was taught this method in a very traditional way.
Right.
Oh.
So, which is ironic.
Right. Which has...
It wasn't hands-on, so I really didn't grasp
Right.
what it really looked like.
And it's very, I can speak to that from the higher ed point of view, because I worked as an adjunct professor at Nova for about 3 years. And I was teaching in the graduate school of ed in a program called Interdisciplinary Arts, a master's in interdisciplinary arts. Okay, and I was the piece, the course that I was integrating the arts into the core curriculum. And so I was the piece where, this is how it relates to classroom kind of thing. And I did a very non-traditional class. I did a lot of experiential stuff and a lot of the students said their feeling was, well, this isn't a real class.
Because they were teachers.
Because they were teachers, and they're taking it. It's like, we're not, even though they had homework and reading assignments and stuff like that, when they were there, since it wasn't lecture, listen, take notes, since it was, we're going to do this activity today, and then we're going to do this activity, and then we're going to debrief it, and then we're going to, it was hard. It was hard for them.
Because you had to get buy-in.
Yeah.
And I would imagine that there are some students that say, "What? You're the teacher. You're supposed to tell me what I'm supposed to learn."
Yep. That's exactly right.
And the quote that I pull is, "We hire people because of their expertise, but the real essence of teaching is pulling out from students what they already have inside them." And that's like,
yes.
What?
Yeah. That one of the questions that I kept asking, because the advisor that I followed, we went and we were talking in the car. And
What was the name of your advisor?
Yasmin.
Because I want them to see what their impact is, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yasmin. So she's telling me one of her students, Caesar, is an auto mechanic.
Oh.
The one that you were talking about. So I'm thinking like a teacher. I'm assessing this kid. I'm teaching this kid. I don't know, Jack, I don't know anything about auto mechanic. I'm like, and I would just look at him like, how do you assess him? How do you know that he's learning? Or other kids, because there's another one that's going into a nursing program, a certified nurse, CNA course. I'm like, how do you know? She's like, well, I learn more from them, and I learn through them and their experiences, because I now need to go out and do the research and learn and become more expert with the terminology, with the vocabulary, to make sure that they're hitting on the vocabulary that they need to be becoming masters of. And then at the end of the day, she's like, and you have to partner up with the mentors, and they're a big resource. So with the auto mechanics, they really rely a lot on the mentor, but they weren't because I told her I would never be able to do this. I don't have I don't know this. She's like, I didn't either. You learn just like the kids. You're learning through experience, and you take your experience as an educator, as a professional, as someone who obviously has a joy for learning, and you show that to them, and they learn through you how to get those qualities and traits of a learner, and then together you learn. And it was just like, wow. It was just like, really?
The whole village now.
Yes, it takes a village, because it's so many people that are involved in that.
That's
The
right.
way that the parents are involved with those professional learning plans.
The parents, interesting.
Yeah, it's not just the student. The way
This is something I never seen. You actually had
Not only
parents
that.
on campus?
Yes, the parents have to be there for the expeditions. The parents have to be there for, so every trimester, they have to sit with their advisors and develop their professional learning plans, right? What they're going to plan to learn and what their project is going to be for this trimester. But after they've had this conversation with the student, the parent is involved in that decision making.
So you were there.
So the student, no, I didn't get to see any parents. She was telling me about it,
okay.
how it goes on.
Okay.
But the student, the advisor, and the parent are involved with the decision making of, for example, your literacy goals for for that trimester, what books they're going to read, and what activities they're going to have to produce to document that they've read the books that were selected by the student. You mean I didn't have to follow a pacing guide that tells me that we have to be reading this by this week on this day?
But it's just as rigorous.
Even more so.
Because
Even
the
more
students
so,
choose
because
it.
now the students also have to prove what they got out of that experience. And they're unique to them. It's not like they're taking a test that's going to give them, that they're going to be able to prove it with answers on a test. You know,
Yeah,
it's
I
just
think you can never force anything.
Yeah, that's what's amazing, that they get all this out of them without forcing
We live in a society
them.
that tries to force things down people's throat.
Well, because that's how you deal with teenagers. They're not going to do anything.
They're not, and
also like the books.
it's and I keep saying this, but you see our type of kids performing up there, and I come down here and so like I was just talking to Fabiani today. I was telling her, Fabi, I saw a good school for you, and she looked at me like you know,
It's not here.
yeah, and so yeah, I guess that's all I have to say.